Hello, everybody. Hello, YouTube. Hello, art history enthusiasts and visual culture aficionados. It's me again, Miss M, and I'm back with yet another video. Today, what are we gonna do today? Today, I'm going to talk about Eyes Wide Shut once again. I can't stop thinking about this movie. Stanley did it again. Stanley did it again. And he might have done it in an even more deep, dark, mysterious way than he did with my favorite, still my favorite, The Shining. Okay? So, I just got off of talking about Kill Bill, which I only have 121 views for Kill Bill, even though I put the word hose in the title. So it looks like my most successful videos lately are the ones that involve Eyes Wide Shut and the word hose. So trust and believe, today's part 3 of Eyes Wide Shut, I'm going to work in the word hose into the title. And it's kind of fitting because we're going to talk about certain characters that have to do, or that can be compared to the Alice character or the Mandy character in the movie. Okay, so you guys fire up the percolator. It is time. It's time for a cup of coffee. Okay, it's time. It's time. I have things to say. I hope you're all doing okay. I hope you're all doing great, actually, not just okay. I'm doing a little better, I must say. I'm not as frazzled as I was maybe about a week or so ago. And in my viewing of Kill Bill, my latest viewing of Kill Bill, for some reason, watching Kill Bill made me think of Eyes Wide Shut. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know if I'll be successful. I believe, y'all know this if you've been with me for a while, I believe that I've figured something out about The Shining. I'm not letting go of the Manhattan Project thing, at least not yet. I think I've really, really, really gotten somewhere. And I believe that FMJ is an extension of The Shining, and I think that Eyes Wide Shut is an extension of both of those. And I believe that somewhere in here, somewhere inside of the movie Eyes Wide Shut, is more to do with military or weapons or just the threat of nuclear annihilation. Somewhere in there. Okay. And or something else. Maybe not. Maybe Stanley isn't just concentrating on the atomic bomb. Maybe he's talking about geopolitics, or maybe this is just, his way of telling us about how this world is really run, at least insofar as the world of art works. Okay, and how art is used once again is maybe it's not so much about the atomic bomb and its potential threat as a bona fide certified weapon that has, not just could, but from what we've seen in history, it has killed a huge number of people in a very short amount of time. That kind of goes without saying when it comes to weapons. Maybe he's drawing some kind of parallel between weapons, even something as awful as atomic weapons, nuclear weapons, and art. Okay, and he used Eyes Wide Shut to do it. Okay. Or that was I think I read somewhere, I don't know if I have the article here anywhere, maybe in the Eyes Wide Shut Wikipedia page, maybe that's where I read it, but Stanley Kubrick considered Eyes Wide Shut his greatest contribution to the world of cinema. That's a very heavy statement, especially for somebody like him to make. So I'm going to be thinking about this. Now, I haven't watched the movie a second time. Number one, because I've been busy. I've been ever so busy, and preoccupied with my own stuff. And number two, I will watch it again. And I'll pay closer attention the second time. But there's a method to my madness. The reason I haven't watched it again is because I don't want the impression that I got from watching it just one time to be erased or altered that quickly. I would like that impression to remain in my head for a little bit longer, that first impression, because once that first impression only lasts as long as only lasts until your second impression, and I'm kind of I don't want to get a second impression so quickly. I don't know if that makes any sense. The reason why I'm doing that is because I know I'm not wondering or speculating about this. I know in my heart of hearts that something that he did with Eyes Wide Shut is or was meant to do a number on the viewer's perceptive and cognitive apparatus. I know that that's what he was trying to do. He tried to do that with The Shining, but it's even stronger and more powerful with a movie like Eyes Wide Shut. He was working our unconscious minds, all of us, the viewer, each of us in our own way, because we're all different people. But the material itself, the film itself, was an attempt to work our unconscious minds in the way that it's described in common literature or sources or whatever, regarding the subconscious mind, or not subconscious, no, unconscious mind, via Freud, via Jung, via stuff like that. Okay. And I didn't, I knew I wanted to make a video. I knew I needed to make a video. Sometimes my gut just tells me, my intuition just tells me, Miss M, maybe Madam M at this point, because I've been talking about hoes so much. M, make a video. That's how I get my inspiration. Like something tells me, go make a video. And I haven't really researched this one very closely or carefully, but I don't really know if that even matters. I am making this video Monday night, November 6th. So, Halloween season is over. I'm depressed about it, you guys. I'm so sad about it. Now, we have to wait a whole year for the Halloween season to be upon us once again. And now it's turkey season, if you're into turkeys. If you're into eating turkeys. Even if you're not, you can still have Thanksgiving. Even if you don't eat meat at all, you can still have stuffing and potatoes and vegetables, prepared with lots and lots of goodies all over them. So the interesting thing about Eyes Wide Shut is that it's set during the holiday season, specifically like December, Christmas time. And I'm continuously appalled at how much Christmas stuff there is in the stores. Even my local grocery store, there's, in the gift aisle, it's all Christmas stuff. I'm hardly seeing any turkeys. Okay. I'm hardly seeing any turkeys. It's all Christmas, Santa Claus, snowmen, shit like that. I'm like, we haven't even had our turkey yet, and they're already shoving Christmas down our throats. Oh, Lord. But anyway, you guys, so it's time to fire up the percolator. Returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you for subscribing. And all of you, it doesn't matter why you're here, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. If you know anybody who might be interested in this kind of thing, especially don't forget to like. Just go ahead and do that right now. Go ahead and like the video right now. Get me out there. I'm at 913 subscribers. Come on now. Help me. That's what? 87 more for me to get monetized. For goodness sake, hit that notification bell too. Don't, while you're here, while you're listening to me ramble, and while you're getting your coffee together, just hit that notification bell so you get notified every single last time when I drop one of these videos of me rambling and talking and getting lost in my own head. So that's it. I did my church announcement. You know what this video is about? More hoes. Hoes all over the place. I can't even believe there's that many of them. But, so what are we talking about? Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention to my community tab, but I've been posting a lot of fine art images that I find on Amazon. Okay, Amazon. I'm an affiliate. I haven't made any money yet. Don't worry. Don't worry. I haven't made 1 red cent off of this. But I've been enjoying going through the offerings on Amazon and looking at how much fine art there is, affordable fine art on Amazon of all different kinds of subject matter, biblical subject matter, apparently. This one here, Jesus banishes Vashti from drawings from the Bible. That's one. And if it's not biblical subject matter, then the title of the freaking thing has biblical ideas in it. This is Eve on the river. Eve? I mean, I know it might mean evening on the river, but for some reason they decided to say Eve. Is that, the Eve that I'm thinking about? The one that we're going to discuss in this video today? Yep, we're going to talk about her. We are. That Eve. Winter in Soho. There it is. This one too. Why did I pick this one? Well, Alice works in Soho before she married Bill. She worked in it. She was a gallery girl in Soho, don't you know? Okay. And then there's this one. This is not for sale, obviously, but this is. I hope I don't get in trouble for this. So I put this up. It says here 3 days ago, and I remembered this image from, just my art history studies. This is the painting, Lilith. Okay. Lilith by pre-Raphaelite artist John Collier. This thing was done in 1887. Notice the red hair. And of course the serpent. Look at that snake. It's wound round her all over the place. Stephen, Stephen says, Wikipedia says that some descriptions of Lilith say long golden hair. I don't trust Wikipedia for everything, mind you. Now, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that for 1 second. But something about these pre-Raphaelite artists and their obsession with women who had red hair, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. They seemed crazy for women with red hair. And I don't know the name of the model for this one. It wasn't, I don't know if this is Dante Gabrielle Rossetti's wife, Elizabeth Siddall, or some other red-haired lady. There seemed to be a bunch of them in, not just Rossetti, but somebody like John Collier. Were they all using the same model? The same red-haired model? Whatever it is, she has gorgeous, long red hair, and she looks like a redhead. But, it's a striking color. Yes, it is. It absolutely is, Stephen. Stephen says maybe red hair in Western art has implicit connotations. Okay. In pre-industrial era, was the pigment mixture required for that type of red difficult to obtain or work with? I don't know what they used. If they were dyeing hair in the 19th century, which they probably were. Hair dye has been around for quite some time, I think. But maybe they were using something like henna, or like I Love Lucy. She was always talking about her henna rinse. Definitely some victim blaming going on with Adam, although it might sound misogynistic. I believe that in olden times, a husband was supposed to be responsible for his wife's conduct. Yeah, basically. I mean, you're right, Stephen. So the whole temptation should have been avoided by Adam stepping up and telling the snake to get lost. See, that he left her unattended. That's what that's what it was. He made the fool mistake of leaving Eve to her own devices all alone. Maybe he was out doing something else. I don't know what. I don't know if they didn't have jobs, did they? Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. But, he made the mistake of not, supervising her at all times. Um and she got together with that serpent and ruined the whole world. I mean, I don't think it quite happened like that, but that's what we're led to believe. That's what we're led to believe. And this isn't Eve, by the way. It looks like Eve. I mean, who? If the title of this painting was not Lilith, and I'm trying to avoid showing all the nudity, if the title of this painting was not Lilith, you would be forgiven. You would be excused for simply assuming that this is a painting of Eve, because that damn serpent. Now, most of us don't know a whole lot about the Lilith character, or the Eve character, for that matter. This is not something like, most people are not Bible scholars. Just that goes without saying, doesn't it? Most people, we have other things that we're into. For me personally, I'm really into art. I'm really into films, that kind of thing. The Bible, I look stuff up as I need to know it for whatever I'm doing. Whatever I'm up to, I'll look stuff up, and I know enough about it to, like, when I hear things, it'll remind me, oh, wait a minute, maybe there's something about that, in the Bible. Maybe I should look up such and such character. Like I was talking with Gershom the other day, and sorry, Gershom, I have been busy up the wazoo, with all kinds of stuff lately. It just happened so quickly. Oof, this week is going to be a dilly. But I was talking about in the Kill Bill analysis, at the chapel at Two Pines, there's no pines. There's no pines. It's all Joshua trees. Okay? And Joshua trees are native to like desert environments, and my mind automatically goes to the Bible with Joshua, and Joshua was Moses's successor, rather than Moses' own sons. And Joshua is like a huge, important figure. Maybe not as important as Moses, or somebody like a Moses or an Abraham, or somebody like that. But Joshua is incredibly important too, because he does a lot of the work in that part of the Bible. This is not the video for that. That's another video for another time. Maybe next time I'm talking about Kill Bill, or when I do a Kill Bill analysis, I can talk about the Joshua figure in the Old Testament, and Moses, of course. But that's how my mind works when it comes to biblical stuff. Now, with regard to Eyes Wide Shut, I immediately thought of Eve, like I said, because of Alice's story. And then I realized, it's not difficult to realize, okay, Alice has red hair. The daughter, Helena, has red hair. The Mandy character, she has red hair. I'm going to have to take another look at Domino. Did she have red hair too? Oh, Lord. And I think Domino's roommate, she definitely, I think, had red hair. And you guys, like, you look at this woman's hair in this painting, and again, you could mistake this for blonde hair, but it's not. Red hair and blonde hair are sometimes difficult to distinguish from one another. Just go to the drugstore, go to the CVS, the Rite Aid, the whatever, or whatever it's called in your neck of the woods, and go into the hair color aisle and look at the blondes and look at the reds, and sometimes you're going to need help telling one from the other, because they're in some cases similar. Sometimes some certain shades of brown are almost indistinguishable from red. So hair color comes in all different shades. But the Lilith character, the Eve character, we're talking about Eyes Wide Shut. Okay, here's the Wikipedia page, which I haven't read to you. I haven't. That's what I do. Have I read it to you? I doubt it. My brain has been so scrambled lately, but I'm pretty sure I haven't read it to you. I just got right into talking about the movie, at least my initial reaction to the movie. And this is it. Eyes Wide Shut is a 1999 erotic mystery psychological drama film. Directed, produced, and co-written by Stanley Kubrick. It is based on the 1926 novella Traumnovelle, Dream Story, by Arthur Schnitzler, transferring the story's setting from early 20th century Vienna to 1990s New York City. The plot centers on a doctor, Tom Cruise, who is shocked when his wife, Nicole Kidman, reveals that she had contemplated having an affair a year earlier. He then embarks on a night-long adventure during which he infiltrates a masked orgy of an unnamed secret society. Okay. We just assume that it's a secret society now, are we? What if it's not? What if it's not a secret society? These are the kind of things, like, I mean, obviously they got this from somewhere, whoever wrote this Wikipedia article, but, it's an unnamed secret society, and that's that. Okay, whatever. Anyway, let me continue. Kubrick, this is the interesting part. This is a really interesting part of this first part of the Wikipedia article about it. Kubrick obtained the filming rights for Dream Story in the 1960s. That's how long he thought about this, you guys. He's finally got around to making it in, like, maybe, let's say, the mid-90s. But he was thinking about making it since the 1960s. That's 30 years. That's a long-ass time. Okay? To be kind of turning something over and over in your head, and that gave him plenty of time to just make it just perfect, especially for somebody like him. Anyway, he obtained the filming rights in the 1960s and considered it a perfect text for a film adaptation about sexual relations. I wish I knew where their source material is for this. Like, what are they referencing? Because I don't see any notes, nothing. Whatever. He revived the project in the 1990s when he hired writer Frederic Raphael to help him with the adaptation. And the issue I have with this sentence, considered it a perfect text for a film adaptation about sexual relations. To me, that's like somebody saying The Shining is about, some dude with writer's block. I can't with that shit. I really just can't. But I think you know where I'm coming from. You should know me a little by now. Anyway, hired Frederic Raphael. Okay. The film, which is mostly shot in England, apart from some exterior establishing shots, includes a detailed recreation of exterior Greenwich Village street scenes made at Pinewood Studios. The film's production at 400 days, listen to this, at 400 days holds the Guinness World Record for the longest continuous film shoot. Well, damn. There's something about Stanley and breaking records with regard to, like, the number of takes and what have you. 400 days. That's more than a year. I'm not good at math, but I know that's 400 days is about 35 days more than a year. Okay, that's interesting. Kubrick died of a heart attack 6 days after showing the final cut of Eyes Wide Shut to Warner Brothers, making it the final film he directed. He reportedly considered it... There's the quote. This is the quote I was telling you about. He reportedly considered it his greatest contribution to the art of cinema. Okay. He reportedly. Is that the same as allegedly? Is that reportedly just a synonym for allegedly? I don't know. But they put this in quotes, so they got it from somewhere. He reportedly considered it his greatest contribution to the art of cinema. In order to ensure a theatrical R rating, in the United States, Warner Brothers digitally altered several sexually explicit scenes during post-production. So what you're telling me that Stanley was going to be in our faces about all of that, all that foulness, all that nudity? He was going to be in our faces about. I mean, there's already a lot of butts in this movie. Like, how much worse could it get? And if Stanley was planning on making it worse than what we see in the movie, like, how much? I mean, yeah, worse. I'm saying worse as far as the explicit nature. I'm not criticizing the showing of human bodies, but this paragraph is telling us that this movie was in danger of being rated more explicit than an R rating. My God. Okay, what the hell were you doing, Stanley? Okay, this version was premiered. Yes, this version was premiered on July 13th, 1999, just before being released on July 16th to generally positive reviews from critics. Oh, those critics. Okay, box office receipts for the film worldwide were about 162 million, making it Kubrick's highest grossing film. That's all thanks to the nudity and the hose. Don't forget the hose. I don't know. Again, if you were not alive during that time, or you were just a little kid or something, like, they were marketing the hell out of this movie, as far as I remember, like on TV and the newspaper and stuff like that. It was always with some kind of, like, they were marketing this movie like it was going to be just like 2 hours of straight up, like, softcore pornography. Is that just my imagination? I remember it that way. I remember, and that, like, at the time, even though I was a youngster at the time, I was like, what the hell is this? This looks weird. At the time, I was not a Kubrickologist, but I remember the marketing campaign for this movie and how, like, I don't know what the word is, like, how scandalous they were making it sound, But 162 million, okay, it was his highest grossing film. The uncut version. Now, I didn't know there were 2 different versions. I hope I watched the uncut version. I don't know. The uncut version has since been released in DVD, HD DVD, and Blu-ray disc formats. Eyes Wide Shut has been included in several lists of the greatest films of the 1990s. Okay. Alright. Cool. Now, instead of reading you the plot of the movie itself, which I could do, but I won't. I'm going to have to take a quick little coffee break soon, but what I'm going to do when I get back is I'm going to read you the plot of this thing. The book that it's based on. Dream Story. Traumnovelle. By Mr. Schnitzler. Okay. I've already read it, of course, to myself. And when I read it to you, you will see something interesting. I think you'll see something interesting. Now, why Stanley Kubrick chose particularly this novella, I don't know. I really don't know. But we're going to talk about it when I come back from a coffee break. We're going to talk about Lilith. All right. We're going to talk about red hair. We're going to talk about the 10 fieriest redheads throughout history. And what else are we going to talk about? Oh, this one? Okay, yeah, this I'm going to talk about. We might even talk about this. I don't know. We shall see. And then, that's where I'm going to pick up after my coffee break. But, you guys fill your cup up again. Get another cookie, croissant, donut, biscuit, whatever you're into. Get comfortable. I've only been talking for half an hour. I don't know how much longer I'm going to talk. You saw all the tabs that I want to cover. I need to figure this out intellectually and philosophically. In my head. I need to get in there. Yeah. like when you're Oh, it is pumpkin season. So like I need to get into this like the same way you get into a pumpkin. Right? You cut it open, you cut the top off of it and pull it off, and then you get in there and get all those seeds and all those strings and things out of it. That's what I need to do with this movie. I need to get all those seeds out of there. And you gotta get up to your elbows in muck and guck and foulness in order to like carve a pumpkin. Okay? That's what we're gonna do. And then, the reward for doing all of that is, first of all, you got a nice pumpkin. You got a nice jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. And then the insides, you can prepare them and then use them to make pumpkin pie. That's what we're going to do with this movie. I hope that's what I'm going to do with this movie. But first I need a cup of coffee, so stay tuned, you guys. Don't go nowhere. All right, everybody. I'm back. I had my little coffee break. Okay. Iced coffee, lots of ice, coffee, milk, and a little bit of hazelnut flavor creamer, because that's just how I roll. No snacks though. No snacks. Maybe I'll have a yogurt or something later. I don't know. But here we are at the Wikipedia article for Dream Story, also known as Traumnovelle. And it is a 1926 novella by Austrian writer Arthur Schnitzler. Okay? I haven't looked up Schnitzler. I'm just burly here at the page for Dream Story, Traumnovelle. This book, as it says here, deals with the thoughts and psychological transformation of Dr. Fridolin over a 2-day period after his wife confesses having had sexual fantasies involving another man. Oh yeah, we're going to have put the word hose in this title too. Absolutely. In this short time, he meets many people who give clues to the world Schnitzler creates. What the hell does that mean? Okay, whatever. This culminates in the Masquerade Ball, an event of masked individualism, sex, and danger for Dr. Fridolin, the outsider. Okay. It was first published in installments in the magazine Die Dame between December 1925. Well, now we know why it's set in Christmas time, December 1925, and March 1926. The first book edition appeared in 1926 in S. Fischer Verlag. The best known of the film adaptations, I guess there were more than one, is the 1999 film Eyes Wide Shut by director-screenwriter Stanley Kubrick and co-screenwriter Frederick Raphael. I don't know if there were some issues with Raphael. Like, was Raphael, like, talking crazy about Stanley? I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up at some other time. I could have sworn I read that somewhere, but then again, I don't rely on could have sworn. I need to see, like, the real thing. But anyway, and co-screenwriter Frederick Raphael. Although it makes significant alterations to the setting. Oh, you better believe it does. Prior to this film, it had been adapted for Austrian television in 1969 and a low-budget Italian film entitled Nightmare in Venice in 1989. Okay. The book belongs to the period of the decadent movement in Vienna after the turn of the 20th century. Okay. All right. Now, like I said about this movie, why I don't want to watch it the second time so quickly, because it's not easy to track this movie. Like if you've seen it, I know most of you have, or a lot of you have. If you've seen it and then you maybe thought about it later, or maybe like, when you're trying to fall asleep and you have your racing thoughts like I do, you're trying to figure out what you watched. I mean, you have the basic understanding of the story of Eyes Wide Shut, but you're trying to figure out, okay, like, it's kind of hard to distinguish between Bill's first trip around New York and where he ends up at the party and everything, and then his second one in the daytime. Like there's one in the nighttime, and then there's the second one in the daytime, right? And it's kind of hard to like remember which is which and which happened when, and and like who's who, and never mind the masks. Even without the mask, don't even if you're not at all concerned with who Red Cloak is or who the couple in the balcony is, like even if you don't give one single solitary shit about any of that, it's still like the chronological thing is difficult to ascertain. That's going to take several watchings. And dealing with the Mandy character, and dealing with the Ziegler character, and dealing with the daughter of the guy who dies, and like ooh, okay, I mean, I don't know, but anyway, so let's get into this, right? All right, let's get into it, right? I haven't looked up Schnitzler. I haven't looked up Frederick Raphael, not yet. This is for future videos. Okay. Story. Dream Story is set in early 20th century Vienna. Early 20th, so like the 1920s? Okay. Which is interesting. Why is that interesting? Because of the picture at the end of The Shining. It's the date on it is 1921. Okay, so if this story was published, depending, like the book was published in 1926, and like the first time the story was read or published was in a magazine in 1925, that's the Roaring 20s. All right, so that's roughly the same time period as the 1921 mysterious photo from the end of The Shining. Okay. Anyway, Dream Story is set in early 20th century Vienna. The protagonist of the story is Fridolin, a successful 35-year-old doctor who lives with his wife Albertina, also translated as Albertine, and their young daughter. One night, Albertina confesses that the previous summer, while they were on vacation in Denmark, so like Cape Cod is Denmark, my God, she had a sexual fantasy about a young Danish military officer. Okay. Fridolin then admits that during that same vacation, he had been attracted to a young girl on the beach. I haven't read this book. This is like my only exposure to the book, this Wikipedia summary. Young girl on the beach? Wait a minute. Hold on. That sounds an awful lot like you know who. And if you don't know who, I'll tell you who. Humbert. Fridolin then admits that during the same vacation he had been attracted to a young girl on the beach. They don't say like how young, like when you say young girl, that's very ambiguous. That could be like a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, like a college-aged girl. That could be a teenager. It can be the age of Dolores in Nabokov's novel. How old was she? What, about 12? I don't know. I don't know about that. So already I kind of don't like Fridolin. So there's that. Kind of. No, I don't like him at all. Anyway, later that night, Fridolin is called to the deathbed of an important patient. Now that character in the movie, whatever his name is, we don't find out a lot about that guy. We know he's extremely important. We know he's wealthy. We've seen the inside of his apartment. It's gorgeous. We know he's probably loaded with money. But that's about, like, what do we know about that patient? Nothing. Anyway, finding the man dead, he is shocked when the man's daughter, Marianne, professes her love to him. Restless, Fridolin leaves and begins to walk the streets. Although tempted, he refuses the offer of a young prostitute named Missy. Is it Missy or Mitzi? I'm not sure. He encounters his own friend Nachtigall, which would be Nick Nightingale in the movie, who tells Fridolin that he will be playing piano at a secret high society orgy that night. Okay. Intrigued, Fridolin procures a mask and costume and follows Nachtigall to the party at a private residence. Fridolin is shocked to find several men in masks and costumes and naked women with only masks engaged in various sexual activities. So in the book, the men are all clothed and the women are not. Kind of similar to the movie. Like I said, we see one male nude in the movie. Like I think just one. And that's it. So there's Stanley is saying something, and I'm going to talk about that with regard to the nudity aspect of the women in the movie. Anyway, Fridolin is shocked to find several men in masks and costumes and naked women with only masks engaged in various sexual activities. When a young woman wants him to leave, Fridolin ignores her plea and is soon exposed as an interloper. The woman then announces to the gathering that she will sacrifice herself for Fridolin, and he is allowed to leave. Okay. If you remember in the movie, when Bill is exposed, the guy who's escorting him, he ends up taking him to the circle with Red Cloak, but he says, I'm going to escort you out. But instead, I'm going to take you, I'll take you, I'll show you the door. But instead of doing that, he takes him to Red Cloak, which is interesting, right? I don't know. Anyway, upon his return home, Albertina awakens and describes a dream she has had. While making love to the making love to the Danish officer from her sexual fantasies, she had watched without sympathy, as Fridolin was tortured and crucified before her eyes. That's not part of Alice's story. In Albertina's story, Fridolin is basically in Albertina's dream, Fridolin is basically martyred, like Jesus, tortured and crucified. Hello. I don't remember her saying that in her, when Alice explains her dream, nightmare, whatever. She doesn't say anything about Bill being crucified. Not that I recall. Gonna have to watch the movie again, though. Fridolin is outraged because he believes that this proves his wife wants to betray him. He resolves to pursue his own sexual temptations. Okay, so didn't he already do that with Mitzi and the going to the party and whatever? Okay, never mind. The next day, Fridolin learns that Nachtigall has been taken away by two mysterious men. He then goes to the costume shop to return his costume and discovers that the shop owner is prostituting his teenage daughter to various men. He finds his way back to where the orgy had taken place the previous night. Before he can enter, he is handed a note addressed to him by name that warns him not to pursue the matter. Well, damn. Okay. Later he visits Marianne, but she no longer expresses any interest in him. In the movie, he doesn't visit the Marianne character again. He just calls on the phone, and Carl answers the phone, and he doesn't even talk to Marianne again. It's again, from what I remember, if I'm remembering correctly. That's interesting. Fridolin searches for Mitzi, the prostitute, but is unable to find her. He reads that a young woman has been poisoned. Suspecting that she is the woman who sacrificed herself for him, he views the woman's corpse in the morgue, but cannot identify her. Okay. Now, we don't have a Mandy in this novel or novella, whatever it is. We don't have a Mandy character. We don't have a Christmas party at the beginning. We just start right in with their talk about, their vacation. And Albertine wanted to cheat with a young Danish military officer, and Fridolin wanted to cheat with a young girl on the beach. He had been attracted to a young girl on the beach. There's no Christmas party at Ziegler's. There is no Ziegler, by the way. Where's the Ziegler character in this Traumnovelle? No. That I know of. This is a summary on Wikipedia. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe I need to look it up. I hope they have a schmoop page, but I'm not hopeful. And then, the Mandy character is Mitzi like split into two characters in the film? Is Mitzi split into Mandy and Domino? I don't know. But there you go. He's unable to find Mitzi. Young woman has been poisoned. I guess they didn't do hard drugs in the 1920s. They did. They absolutely did. But like for some reason, it's not spoken of very, very frequently in the movies or the literature from that time. Like for example, we think that, like what I said, hard drugs are a modern problem. They are not. They have been around for quite a while. A kind of famous, like, coquette that you might know her by name was Tallulah Bankhead. Okay. A famous actress who was around during this time period, the 1920s. She was crazy for it. She, from what I read a lot of stuff. I read about her this one time because she was on that episode of I Love Lucy, the hour-long episode. Back in the day when she was a teenager, she would keep a shoebox full of it under her bed. That's Tallulah Bankhead, but okay. There's no such thing as the good old days, people. No such thing. Anyway, he cannot identify the woman's corpse. He finds her in the he finds the woman, he suspects that Mitzi is the one who sacrificed herself for him. And he views the woman's corpse in the morgue, but cannot identify her. Why can't he identify her? Like, he saw her the night before. He, in this part of the, he's tempted. He refuses an offer of a young prostitute named Mitzi. Okay. So I presume that Mitzi, at this point in the story, wasn't wearing a mask. So why couldn't he identify her just by looking at her face? Like, damn you men. Do you ever look at anything other than, from the neck down? My God. That's what this is making us. I know you do. I know men absolutely do look at women's faces, not just from the neck down. But why can't he identify her? That don't make no sense. Anyway, Fridolin returns home that night to find Albertina asleep, with his mask from the previous night set on the pillow on his side of the bed. When she wakes up, Fridolin confesses all of his activities. After listening quietly, Albertina comforts him. Fridolin says that it never will happen again, but Albertina tells him not to look too far into the future, and that the important thing is that they survive through their adventures. What the hell? In the movie, Alice says forever is a long time, don't talk about forever, if I'm quoting it correctly. Okay. The story ends with them greeting the new day with their daughter. And this is like, in this summary, this is the first time I remember. In the beginning we hear about the young daughter in the first paragraph of this summary, and then in the very last sentence of the summary, their young daughter, who goes unnamed. Does she have a name? Is it Helena? We don't know. We know Fridolin and Albertina and the young daughter, and that's it. This is weird. And now don't forget the crucifixion. Please don't forget the crucifixion. What the hell? Okay, and what the hell? And I told you Alice's story in the movie sounds a lot like she's in a nightmare version of the Garden of Eden. But she doesn't talk about the Bill character getting crucified. So what the hell is Stanley doing? And this is completely different from the movie. Albertina describes the dream. While making love to the Danish officer from her sexual fantasies, she had watched without sympathy as Fridolin was tortured and crucified before her eyes. Okay. There's no garden in what I can tell. Okay, from Albertina's story, there's no garden. There's no, hundreds and hundreds of other people fucking. There's no, line of guys, pardon the expression, but running train on Alice, like she says in the movie. No. In the novel, there's just the Danish officer, and then Fridolin getting crucified, and she watched without sympathy. In the movie, she says she laughed at him, but she doesn't talk about why she laughed at him. I'm gonna have to watch the movie again. Okay, or look at the script. She watched without sympathy as Fridolin was tortured and crucified before her eyes, like Jesus. Now, what the hell is going on? This is a complicated novel. Again, where's the Ziegler character? Where's the Mandy character? They're not here. They're not in Traumnovelle. All right, which is interesting. Who else is missing? You guys help me in the comments. Tell me. And it says adaptations. Traumnovelle is a 1969 Austrian television film adaptation directed by Wolfgang Glück. Okay, Il Cavaliere, La Morte e il Diavolo is a 1983 Italian film adaptation. A low-budget Italian film entitled Nightmare in Venice was adapted from Dream Story in 1989. It was directed by Mario Bianchi, mainly known for low-budget erotic thrillers. Okay. We know about Kubrick's movie, and Jacob Hinrichs made a graphic novel in 2012. A dramatic reading of the book by Paul Rees was broadcast on BBC Radio 7 and in 2021 BBC Radio 4 Extra as a Dream Story. Okay. All right. I don't know what to make of this. I mean, I kind of do. Like, again, the martyrdom of the Fridolin character, we don't see that in the Bill character, or with the Bill character in the movie. Again, where are Ziegler? Plenty to think about, eh? I wanted to show you this. And like I said, I didn't read you the plot of Eyes Wide Shut. You probably already know the plot of Eyes Wide Shut. But you might not know the plot of Dream Story. And again, if there's a Schmoop or a Cliff Notes version of Dream Story, I would love to see it. I'm going to look for it eventually, right? I have more questions now. I have more questions about, who is this? Arthur Schnitzler. And there's this, I also wanted to look this up. Eyes Wide Shut disambiguation. Oh, that's it? Okay. I thought it was I thought Eyes Wide Shut was an old saying or something. I guess not. All right. Lot of musical acts. Billy Idol did a song called Eyes Wide Shut. Who else? Nobody that I've ever heard of. Oh Lord, English boy band. Oh, give me a break. Okay, let me close this one. But I wanted to look up Schnitzler. May 15th, 1862 to the 21st of October, 1931, was an Austrian author and dramatist. He is considered one of the most significant representatives of the Viennese modernism. Schnitzler's works, which include psychological dramas and narratives, dissected turn-of-the-century Viennese bourgeois life, making him a sharp and stylistically conscious character. My damn glasses, I need to wash them. Stylistically conscious chronicler of Viennese society around 1900. So is Traumnovelle set in the 1920s or the turn of the century, like the fin de siècle, as they call it, right? I don't know. This is his biography. All right. In 1903, oh Lord, oh you rogue, Arthur. In 1903, so he would have been how old? 40 minus 2 is 38. He would have been 41 when he married a lady named Olga Gassman, a 21-year-old aspiring actress and singer who came from a Jewish middle-class family. Okay. All right. The age difference, though. I'm not saying that's terrible, but you know, is Dream's story about is it autobiographical? Because he says he's attracted to a young girl on the beach. Fridolin says that to his wife Albertina, and I mean, technically Olga at 21 was a young girl compared to his 40-something in 1903. Lord. Oh, and then they separated in 1921. How nice. Oh golly. Okay. Oof. Ay. Lordy. I need to look at his page a little better. I don't know. He seems to have done a lot of work. He seems to be, a celebrated figure in Austrian literature, but I don't know. I just don't know. Okay. I don't know what to think of this. I really don't know. But, because, we think of these old-timey writers. We think of them as kind of like gods. Because that's how they're presented to us in school. These people had private lives. These people made mistakes. These people were not perfect. In one of my French classes that I took in college, a long ass time ago, but we were told to read Madame Bovary. Okay, you guys, here's a little tangent for you. I hope you're enjoying the coffee. But we were kind of studying Madame Bovary, and I couldn't stand that bitch. I really couldn't. I really could not stand Emma Bovary, the character. I thought she was detestable. Well, again, that's my favorite word lately. Or maybe I'll do a Daffy Duck and say despicable. I just thought Emma Bovary was a completely despicable character. I thought she was vain. I thought she was greedy. I thought she was deceitful and conniving and horrible, just horrible in every conceivable way. But my professor and especially the other girls in the class were like, no, she's great. She's, feminist icon. And I'm like, why? She spends the entire novel deceiving her husband who has, who places his complete trust in her and loves her madly. What about her is like awesome? I said, Emma, I remember, I really put my foot down on this one. I said, Emma Bovary is just absolutely horrible. And now I know where Andy Cohen got his idea for The Real Housewives. I said it. I just fucking said it. I said, Emma Bovary is the original Real Housewife. Just idle, useless, extremely vain, only concerned with material things and just being a terrible, she was this was in the early 19th century, I believe, when Madame Bovary was written, and she's just the ultimate consumer. She's a representative of, She represents like how all of the Industrial Revolution, what's wrong with the whole thing. That's what's wrong with it. And she goes into debt, and then she goes into more debt. And then instead of facing her mistakes and her own, for lack of a better word, sin, not against God or anything like that, but against her family, her husband, her daughter, no, she doesn't even like own up to her own bullshit. No, she commits suicide. She eats a handful of arsenic. All right. Like she's a coward. She won't even face her own mistakes. This is not a feminist icon. Who the fuck told you people that this is a feminist icon? I just couldn't. Forgive me, you guys. If you like that book, if you like Gustave Flaubert, please forgive me. And then look up Gustave Flaubert. Go ahead. I'm not going to tell you nothing. No, you got to go look him up. If you've ever read Emma or Madame Bovary. I said Emma, and poor Charles, and and Gustave Flaubert. We're talking about Emma like she was a real person. She wasn't. She was a fictional character invented by Gustave Flaubert. He obviously couldn't stand women. Because he especially couldn't stand smart women, because that's how Emma is presented in the novel. She was smart. She went to school. She got really good grades. She was intelligent, and that's the problem. There ain't nothing worse. There is nothing in this world more dangerous to a man than an intelligent woman. Okay, that's your feminist icon. Get out of here. But anyway, now let's go to Lilith. Speaking of, there's nothing more dangerous than an intelligent woman. Well, here she is. Oh my God. Her and Eve, by the way. It's difficult for me to tell which is which, to be honest with you. Lilith. Look at her. Look at her. This is the John Collier image that I showed you in my community post. This another nudist. Okay, so there she is. Lilith, also spelled Lilith or Lilitu or Lilis, is a female figure in Mesopotamian, listen to this, Mesopotamian and Judaic mythology, theorized to be the first wife of Adam, and supposedly the primordial she-demon. Lilith is cited as having been banished from the Garden of Eden for not complying with and obeying Adam. See, that's what Charles should have done to Emma Bovary. She is thought to be mentioned in biblical Hebrew in the book of Isaiah, and in late antiquity in Mandean mythology and Jewish mythology sources from 500 CE onward. Lilith appears in historiolas, incantations incorporating a short mythic story in various concepts and localities that give partial description of her. She is mentioned in the Babylonian Talmud. And it says where she's mentioned specifically in that book, I guess. In the book of Adam and Eve as Adam's first wife, and in the Zohar Leviticus 19a as a hot, fiery female who first cohabited with man. Many traditional rabbinic authorities, including Maimonides and Menachem Meiri, reject the existence of Lilith. Okay. All right. The name Lilith stems from Lilitu, and Vordat Lili. The Akkadian word Lilu is related to the Hebrew word Lilith in Isaiah 34:14, which is thought to be a night bird by some modern scholars such as Judith M. Blair. In the ancient Mesopotamian religion found in cuneiform texts of Sumer, Assyria, and Babylonia, Lilith signifies a spirit or demon. Well, damn. Okay, Lilith continues to serve as source material in today's popular culture, Western culture, literature, occultism, fantasy, and horror. If you remember, was it, oh Lord, Like Marianne Coates is, I think her next project on her is it Marianne Coates or no, not Marianne, Marina. Marina, Marina Coates. She's the one who does recreations of like TV sitcom interiors, like the shows that we all loved in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, everything. She's doing Frasier now. She's doing the inside of Frasier's apartment. And wasn't Frasier's first wife, played by Bebe Neuwirth, wasn't she named Lilith? Oh my God. Okay. Now the history. I can't read all of this. No, I can't. There's a lot of it. There's the Bernie relief. Is that Lilith? Okay. All right. This is interesting because the Nightingale character, is that why? Oh Lord, is that why Stanley named Nick Nightingale? Because he was thinking about Lilith with her possible wings and bird feet in the disputed Bernie relief. It's over here. And she's flanked by 2 lions and 2 owls. Okay. In the Hebrew Bible, the word Lilith or Lilith appears once in the Hebrew Bible in a prophecy regarding the fate of Edom. Most other nouns in the list appear more than once and thus are better documented, with the exception of another hapax legomenon, the word kypos. The reading of scholars and translators is often guided by a decision about the complete list of 8 creatures as a whole. Quoting, I'm not going to read all of this. But, okay. Okay, you can look at this in your own time. She's compared to wild beasts, demons, screeching owls. Oh Lord, she's just terrible. Okay, major sources, and I'm concentrating on the Jewish traditions because the Old Testament, that's the Jewish tradition. Major sources in Jewish tradition regarding Lilith in chronological order include, here it is, Dead Sea Scrolls, Mishnah, Gemara of the Talmud, the Alphabet of Ben Sirah, Midrash Abkir, treatise on the left emanation, and the Zohar. Okay, Lilith, I mean, I don't know what to think of her. I don't know what to think of Lilith. I really don't. But she's obviously a very contentious figure. And why am I here? Just because of that John Collier painting. I know the pre-Raphaelites were obsessed with red hair. I told you that already. Look up Elizabeth Siddal if you don't believe me. But there she is. This painting is titled Lilith by John Collier. It's not titled Eve. No, it's titled Lilith. So he knew about this Lilith stuff in 1887. Okay, more than 100 years ago. Well over 100 years ago. What is going on here? But the snake is wound around her. Okay, and I know you guys have left comments in my under my videos regarding this. I need to look at that again because again I haven't had time lately. I need to look at that again. Maybe do a viewer mail, coffee break. I don't know. What is going on? She's supposed to be Adam's first wife, so Eve would be his second wife. And as you can see, I looked up the word red. No, it doesn't mention her hair on this page. So, Stephen, it doesn't mention red hair. I'm sorry, Stephen. It doesn't mention red hair. That's what I was looking for, red hair. There it is. Talk about synchronicity. But there's something going on with this character. Are Lilith and Eve 2 sides of the same coin? Because Lilith was supposed to be terrible and disobedient and whatever, but I mean Eve wasn't much better now, was she? With regard to the commonly accepted interpretation. I'm not saying the real thing. No. I'm talking about the commonly accepted interpretation of the Adam and Eve story and the serpent and the tree and the apple. We'll just call it an apple, right? For convenience. Like Eve, she's thought of as a temptress too. She was very easily seduced by the serpent. And this Lilith looks like she having a good time with that snake. Ay, 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 ay. Now, I'm concerned with the red hair. Okay? Now, here it is. Red hair. Red hair. Also known as orange hair or ginger hair. And again, I'm here because of Alice, Helena, Mandy, and possibly Domino, although I'm not sure. I have to look at her again. Also known as orange hair or ginger hair, is a human hair color found in 1 to 2% of the world population. 1 to 2% of the world population, appearing with greater frequency, 2 to 6%, among people of northern and northwestern European ancestry, and lesser frequency in other populations. Okay. It is most common in individuals homozygous for a recessive allele on chromosome 16 that produces an altered version of the MC1R protein. Okay, it varies with hue from deep burgundy or bright copper or auburn to burnt orange or red orange to strawberry blonde. Let's see. That's strawberry blonde. I mean, could you tell the difference between strawberry blonde and red? I'm sorry, or strawberry blonde and real blonde? I could not. I always have trouble with that one. Characterized by high levels of reddish pigment, pheomelanin, and relatively low levels of the dark pigment eumelanin. It is typically associated with fair skin color, lighter eye color, freckles, and sensitivity to ultraviolet light. Okay. Cultural reactions to red hair have been varied. The term redhead has been used since at least 1510, while the term ginger is sometimes used, especially in Britain and in Ireland, to describe a person with red hair, which I don't understand at all. Have these people ever seen ginger? I mean, ginger root. I've consumed it from time to time. I've got some in the refrigerator right now. Like, it's yellow. Don't even look close to red when you peel it or cut it open. Like, I don't know what the hell this is. Like, I'm sorry. Maybe ginger was a different color back in 1510, but now, no. It would be more fitting to call a blonde person ginger than a red-headed person, if you ask me. But what do I know? Here I am on this page, and why am I here? What did I want to really, focus on this page? Lord, where is it? Is this it? Yes, this is it. All right. Look at this. Edmund Blair Leighton in the sidebar over here. The Accolade, 1901. Again, this lady. And this is a pretty famous painting. Again, this is 1901. I don't know what period I would call this. Is this pre-Raphaelite, or is that did that end with the 19th century? I don't know. But she's got red hair. Here's Elizabeth I of England, circa 1588. Definitely red hair. Okay. Red hair is very unique and very rare. All right. It says here, this is why I'm here, religious and mythological traditions with regard to red hair, like our Lilith and Alice, Helena, Mandy, possibly Domino, Susie the secretary, remember her from The Shining? She had red hair. Yep. Anyway, in ancient Egypt, red hair was associated with the deity Set. I think he's the god of deserts, storms, disorder, violence, and foreigners in ancient Egyptian religion. Okay, as well as Ramses II, and there he is, allegedly. In the Iliad, Achilles' hair is described as xanthes, usually translated as blonde or golden, but sometimes as red or tawny. Okay. His son, Neoptolemus, also bears the name Pyrrhus, a possible reference to his own red hair. Okay. The Norse god, Thor, is usually described as having red hair. The Hebrew word usually translated ruddy or reddish brown, adumoni, was used to describe both Esau and David. Who knew? I didn't know what color King David's hair was, but that would That would be interesting if that turned out to be the case. If you look at scripture, right? Early artistic representations of Mary Magdalene usually depict her as having long, flowing red hair, although a description of her hair color was never mentioned in the Bible, and it is possible the color is an effect caused by pigment degradation in the ancient paint. Possibly, but it depends on what you're dealing with. Judas Iscariot is also represented with red hair in Spanish culture and in the works of William Shakespeare, reinforcing the negative stereotype. Negative stereotype. Wait a minute, hold on. Negative. Elizabeth I of England, who was, Shakespeare is an Elizabethan playwright. I don't see why he would try to make red hair look like a bad thing. Like, it would be real stupid of him to do that, especially if a red-headed person was held absolute power at that time in history. I don't know. Here's Portrait of a Lady by Sandro Botticelli. Definitely a redhead. Definitely a redhead. But, polychrome Roman marble statue depicting the goddess Tyche holding the infant Plutus in her arms, 2nd century. You can see remnants of the red pigment on their hair. What is this? Cleopatra. Well, damn. Most likely a posthumous painted portrait of Cleopatra, the 7th of Cleopatra the 7th of Ptolemaic Egypt, with red hair and her distinct facial features, wearing a royal diadem and pearl-studded hairpins, from a Roman Herculaneum, mid-1st century A.D. Okay. I don't know. I really don't know. Queen Elizabeth I, yes. Then they name all of these celebrities, among them Nicole Kidman. Red hair darkens as people get older. There's henna and saffron are used to give it a bright appearance. Many painters have exhibited a fascination with red hair. The hair color Titian takes its name from the artist Titian, who often painted women with red hair. Early Renaissance artist Sandro Botticelli's famous painting, The Birth of Venus, there it is, depicts the mythological goddess Venus as a redhead. Well. Okay. Other painters notable for their redheads include the Pre-Raphaelites, Edmund Leighton, Modigliani, and Gustav Klimt. Okay. All right. And of course, Lucille Ball was not a natural redhead, but she did it so she could stand out with like the new Technicolor film at the time, which was a really smart move. Like, they say that Lucille Ball was an incredible businesswoman. So that's definitely an executive business decision regarding her career and her appearance. Now, we've covered red hair. I still don't know what Stanley is trying to do by making Alice, Helena, Mandy, possibly Domino, and Susie. I don't know if I'm forgetting somebody. Maybe what's-her-face? Hold on, wait a minute. What's-her-face? Marion Nathanson. Okay, Marie Richardson. Oh shit, she looks like she has red hair. Another redhead. Well, damn. Vanessa Shaw as Domino. Again, I need to look up her in the movie, but did Marion have red hair? Or strawberry blonde hair? I think she maybe had strawberry blonde hair in the movie. I'm going to have to look at it again, but what about Lily Sobieski's character? I doubt it, but, I can't rule anything out at this point. Is the Marion character also a redhead? That would be interesting. We need to figure out why Stanley made all these women in this movie, specifically Eyes Wide Shut, but also Susie from The Shining. Why did he give them red hair? what is he doing? Is this about the Bible? Is this about, a character like Lilith? Is this about a character like, Sandra Botticelli's representation of the birth of Venus, the goddess Venus? Is this about ancient Egypt? Is this about, like I told you, a lot of depictions? I didn't find that for this video, but a lot of depictions of the Virgin Mary in Northern Renaissance artwork give her red hair. Not just red hair, but red frizzy hair. Kind of like Nicole Kidman's in the movie. Her hair, I don't know what I would call that hairstyle. It's not a perm. I guess it is a perm. But it's like a funky perm. I don't know. It's like a 90s perm. The frizzy hair from back then. My goodness. But, like, what's going on? What in the world is going on? And I also found this. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I found this article. The 10 fieriest redheads throughout history. Of course, Lucille Ball is one of them. Okay. But, here we go. Okay? Eve. Some scientists say that red hair is simply a genetic mutation and redheads will soon be extinct. I read that that's not true at all. That no scientist has ever said that. That's just some nonsense, but whatever. They love their clicks and views. I am not typically one to argue with science. Yeah, first you have to know whether or not it's science, fool. Okay, figure out whether or not it's science, then ask yourself whether or not you want to argue with it. For Pete's sake. But anyway, I'm going to show you 10 or 11 redheads throughout history that prove we're not going anywhere. Oh, this is a redhead website. Well, okay, all right. So here we go with Eve. Now, what do they say about Eve? Okay. And you know why I'm here, because of Alice's story. When God saw that Adam could not survive on his own, who did he choose to be the first woman on earth? A redhead, of course. Or, I should say, another redhead. That's right, the first humans on earth were redheads. Don't believe me? Let's take a look at some etymological proof. I did a little research, and apparently ruddy is the best English translation we have for the original Hebrew word in the Old Testament pronounced, oh my God, pronounced admoni, which means red or reddish. The name Adam, pronounced Adam, okay, is actually derived from that same Hebrew word. I didn't know none of this. If any of you can confirm this for me, that would be great. Please do that in the comments. Adam was created from the dust, or the red clay of the earth, which in Hebrew was called Adamah, and Eve would have been inherently comparable to Adam, since she was taken from his rib. This is why many paintings of the creation of man depict both Adam and Eve as redheads. So you tell me, who is really the genetic mutation? Okay, now, with regard to this, okay, Eve had red hair, cool. And Alice in the movie has red hair, but Bill does not. So if Alice is Eve, or Lilith for that matter, Bill is definitely not Adam. All right. Anyway, number 2, Lilith. Here goes another pre-Raphaelite redheaded woman. I don't know what was. They were nuts about redheads back then. This little tidbit is free. In Jewish mythology, the supposed first wife of Adam, Lilith, is also said to have had red hair. She was eventually kicked out of the Garden of Eden because she refused to submit herself to Adam. Oh, unlike Eve. Again, I don't understand none of this. Like, they make it sound like Eve was so much more obedient than Lilith. Like, really? Come on now. There's Athena and Aphrodite. Okay. No surprise here that both the Greek goddess of wisdom and the goddess of beauty are believed to have been redheads. Though modern cinema has taken it upon themselves to turn Athena into a brunette and Aphrodite into a blonde, we know from ancient art and tradition that the women were red at their roots. Athena was typically portrayed with auburn locks, while Aphrodite rocked more of a strawberry mane. But the bottom line is, you got it wrong, Percy Jackson. After all, what were the Greek goddesses if not fiery? Okay. All right, who else? Oh, well, Cleopatra. I already kind of covered that. Turns out the black bob that we normally associate with this female pharaoh of ancient Egypt may be follically, excuse me, follically inaccurate. She is said to have used henna to bring out the redness of her hair. No wonder Mark Antony couldn't resist her. Though pharaohs at the time would have only spoken Greek, Cleopatra learned to speak Egyptian and called herself the reincarnation of the goddess Isis. Well, she may not have been a goddess, but at least she understood the supernatural power that comes with a great head of red hair. Okay. Mary Magdalene. Well, Jesus. Look, you see why I find this article so useful in my research. Despite a scandalous past as a prostitute, also known as Hoe, Mary Magdalene is often described as one of the most important women in the movement of Christianity. She is said to be the first person to have seen the risen Christ and has been immortalized in art with flowing red locks. At the time, red hair would have been a sign of royalty. What I tell you. And this royal head of hair might just be the most famous in all of the New Testament. You mean more famous than Eve? Okay. All right. New Testaments, excuse me. In a particularly remarkable moment recorded in the Gospels, Mary Magdalene anoints Jesus' feet with expensive ointment and dries them with her hair. Other than maybe Samson's golden locks in the Old Testament, I can't think of any biblical hair with greater significance. Okay, there's Elizabeth I. All right. Named as one of the most powerful redhead women in history, Elizabeth I of England inherited the red tresses of her father, Henry VIII. Her mother, Anne Boleyn, was one of the wives who was beheaded by Henry, but Elizabeth eventually succeeded to the throne. She gave her critics a glimpse of that fiery red-headed nature by ignoring her advisors and choosing not to marry. She famously stated, "I do not want a husband who honors me as a queen if he does not love me as a woman." Well said, Liz. Who needs a man to run a country anyway? Remember, men may fight wars, but redheads win them. Oh, really? Okay. Lucille Ball, we don't need to get into her. Carol Burnett, same thing. Who else? Reba, nope. Nicole. Okay. We know she has red hair. I mean, like, what else needs to be said about it? She has red hair. She's not a biblical figure or a historical figure. She's just an actress. Lord. Okay. So that's about it for this, right? I'm going to save this for future reference. And of course, as always, I'm going to put all of these links in the description of this video. Now, what else did I want to talk about? I'm not going to get into the treachery of images today. I don't have that kind of time. And I'm not going to get into this today either, the ruling class, another video. But I did want to mention this just to close out this video. Okay? You might need another cup of coffee. The masks. And of course, I was looking at this because I remembered seeing a TV show that prominently featured masks. And I did a little digging and I remembered, yes, it was the Twilight Zone. One of the creepiest episodes, if you ask me, that aired in 1964. The masks. And I know I have a Twilight Zone fan who pops up in the comments every now and again. This one's for you, buddy. The Masks is episode 145 of the American television series The Twilight Zone. It originally aired on March 20th, 1964 on CBS. In this episode, set on Mardi Gras, a dying man coerces his relatives into wearing grotesque masks that reflect their true personalities. What are the odds that Stanley was not aware of this episode of The Twilight Zone? Everybody knows about The Twilight Zone. It was like, it's still ahead of its time. You know, this thing aired in the 5th season, 1964. We're in the year 2023, pretty soon the year 2024. The Twilight Zone is still ahead of its time. I don't think that Stanley would have ignored that. And he was, I think, still living in the United States at the time, possibly. Or no, I'm not sure. But, the masks. Okay, opening narration. Mr. Jason Foster, a tired ancient, who on this particular Mardi Gras evening will leave the earth. But before departing, he has some things to do, some services to perform, some debts to pay, and some justice to mete out. This is New Orleans, Mardi Gras time. It is also the Twilight Zone. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you because you have to, please go watch this show after I'm done reading this to you. It's a really good episode. And I think it might partially, in addition to, yes, it was part of, Traumnovelle, the dream story. There are masks in that story. But the masks in Eyes Wide Shut, there's something about them. There's the ones of the people who are, they belong to the alleged secret society that's having the naked party. The masks in the movie, they're spooky. They're creepy. They're weird. They're kooky. Yeah. Something about them. It's like the masks. If I get to the point where I can analyze the masks closely, maybe it'll reveal something about the wearers. Yeah, in each shot of the masked, like in scenes where you can see close-ups of the faces with masks. I don't know. Okay, but I'll read this to you very quickly. On the night of Mardi Gras, a wealthy old man named Jason Foster is attended to by his physician, Dr. Sam Thorne, who warns him that his death is imminent. Cranky and candid, Jason is not cheered by the arrival of his cowardly hypochondriac daughter, Emily Harper, and her family, greedy businessman husband Wilfred, oafish sadistic son Wilfred Jr., and vain daughter Paula. After openly insulting the Harpers, Foster says he has a special Mardi Gras party planned for them that night. Following dinner, the family gathers in Foster's study, where he instructs them to put on special, one-of-a-kind masks that he says were crafted by an old Cajun. Explaining that an old Mardi Gras custom involves wearing a mask that is the opposite of one's true personality, Foster sarcastically gives a sniveling coward mask to Emily, a porcine-featured miser to Wilfred, a brutish buffoon to Wilfred Jr., and a narcissist to Paula, while he dons a skull mask, saying that it represents death as opposed to his inherent vivacity. Okay, so he's lying to them. All right. The Harpers initially refuse to participate until Foster correctly accuses them of only being there to claim his fortune upon his death. As such, he informs them that his will is drawn up so that they inherit everything only if they wear their masks until midnight. Okay. The Harpers reluctantly concede, but as the hours pass, they begin to remove their masks, saying that they are unbearable. Oh no, they beg, They beg to remove their masks, saying that they are unbearable. However, Foster delivers a final tirade until the clock strikes midnight, calling them all caricatures before he dies. The Harpers rejoice in their newly inherited wealth and unmask, but discover to their horror that their faces now conform to the hideous features of their masks. Foster's face, on the other hand, proves to be superficially unchanged. Dr. Thorne observed, "This must be death. No horror, no fear, nothing but peace." Okay. Closing narration. Mardi Gras incident. The dramatis personae being 4 people who came to celebrate and, in a sense, let themselves go. This they did with a vengeance. They now wear the faces of all that was inside them, and they'll wear them for the rest of their lives. Sad lives, now to be spent in shadow. Tonight's tale of men, the macabre, and masks on the Twilight Zone. Okay, this is an amazing episode. And again, are the masks in Eyes Wide Shut? Are the masks that we see at the naked party, do they say something about the people who wear them? Not necessarily their identities. I'm not so much concerned with any of that. Except possibly the two people on the balcony. But does it say something about the people where, like, when we choose costumes, you guys, Halloween just was a couple days ago. Okay, like almost a week ago. When you choose a costume for Halloween, for Mardi Gras, for a costume party of whatever kind, you make those choices, you make those decisions about what kind of costume you want to wear, what kind of mask, what kind of makeup, what kind of hair, what kind of everything, based on something that you want to express about yourself. Think of children when they're choosing their costumes. Grown-ups do the same thing when they choose costumes for a costume party. They want something that is going to say something. Either it's going to get, a reaction from the crowd, or they, with the case of Halloween, you get to be your real self, or the self that you would like to be by, putting on your costume. You get to be a superhero. You get to be a fairy princess. There's a lot of hoes. There's a lot of hoes and hoochies on Halloween. Women who just lead normal lives from day to day. But when Halloween happens, you can see all the business. I don't know why. I don't know why. And I don't know why. But, is that what's going on in Eyes Wide Shut? The masks. The masks from Traumnovelle. Right? He goes to this party. A mask and costume. So in the novel, in Traumnovelle, it's not like the people at the party, they have masks and capes. In the novel, it's masks and costumes. We need to think about this. Let me know what you think, you guys, in the comments. I have talked at you for over an hour and a half. I apologize. I don't apologize, because, like, if you didn't like it, you wouldn't be here. But it takes me a long time to say what I want to say. And again, this is an exploration. It's not just for me. No, it's not just for me. It's for you too. It gives you the opportunity to think. Maybe when you're listening to me read one of these Wikipedia things or talk, I ramble, I go on tangents and whatever. Maybe it gives you the opportunity to have like bursts of insight or ideas or what have you. I hope it does. I really do, because that is my aim, to get you all to think. Not what I think, but what you want to think. I'm hoping that my videos are just an impetus for that. So, y'all, I did it. I did this. I wanted to talk about red hair. I wanted to talk about Lilith, Eve, Mary Magdalene, Athena, Aphrodite, that sort of thing. Now we know, like the Venus, the Birth of Venus by Botticelli. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, you're a real one. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. I had fun. This is just the beginning. I'm still gonna work on The Shining. I ain't done with The Shining or Full Metal Jacket. So maybe the next movie video I'll do is going to be about Full Metal Jacket. In the next episode, I'm going to start tacking on something to the end of my videos. In the next episode, oh, damn it, JSTOR. Okay, we're going to talk about this here. You can see it. I don't need to read everything out loud. Do I? Well, okay, I'll read this. This is JSTOR. Okay, JSTOR Daily, nonprofit library for the intellectually curious. Nonprofit, but that don't mean that it's free. But was modern art really a CIA psyop? I'm going to talk about that next time in the next episode, and then I'll do FMJ after that, and then possibly, whatever. The next installment of Understanding the Shining. Okay. Was modern art really a CIA psyop? I have been seeing this on Twitter like a couple times. I need to look at it. I need to research it. I need to see what the hell is going on. Because I don't take anybody's word for anything. I need to see it for myself. And then here's another article from ArtNet, how MoMA and the CIA conspire to use unwitting artists to promote American propaganda during the Cold War. Okay, Cold War. And then this is from, what is this, The Independent? Oh Lord, this is from 1995. Modern art was a CIA weapon. Revealed how the spy agency used unwitting artists such as Pollock and de Kooning in a cultural Cold War. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about next time, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. Are we looking at Alice right here with this Lilith painting? Where is she? Where's Lilith? She's right here. Lilith, Eve, Mary Magdalene. I'm going to have to look up the Virgin Mary too. Did she have red hair too? Oh Lord. Did Jesus have red hair? I mean, if he's related to King David, and King David had red hair, oh my God, this is getting deeper and deeper. So you guys, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for the next one. Yeah? Modern art psyop. We shall see what I find. I don't know what I'm going to find. No, Schnitzler, no. I don't know what I'm going to find, but I'll find something. I promise you that. Let me know in the comments what you think about this, what you think about the red hair thing, what you think about the Traumnovelle thing, and what have you. I love reading your comments. They're some of my favorites. All right. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the coffee. And returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it so much. Get me to 1,000. Get me to 1,000. Tell all your friends. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you know anybody who might enjoy this, with special emphasis on liking. And don't forget to hit that notification bell if you want to know when's the next time I drop one of these monster videos of mine. I needed to talk, and that's what I did. I talked. So you guys, I'm gonna start Kill Bill again. We concluded Volume 1 with the Chapter 5 showdown at House of Blue Leaves. We're gonna start Volume 2 next. So Brianna, if you're listening, don't worry. I'm gonna get going with Volume 2. Trust and believe. So that's that, you guys. Thank you once again for being here. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so very, very much. Like I said, next time I'll be doing the psyop, modern art psyop, then Full Metal Jacket, then Understanding, and again, might get back into Kill Bill. I'm going to be thinking about Eyes Wide Shut. I sure am. So until next time, you all. Until next time, when I find yet another reason to talk at you in one of these videos, I'm going to go ahead and bid you bye-bye. So, bye-bye, everybody.